Right, so door threshold detail. Obviously it needs to be wheelchair accessible nowadays, and you cannot have any steps or anything like that into your homes. It's all can be accessed by people in wheelchairs. This is the kind of detail that we're looking at. We have a concrete, in situ concrete sill. Okay, so it's cast in situ, so it's formed there and then you have like a rainwater gully here at the edge of it. To collect the rainwater away from the actual front of the door. That's very important. And you have a small slope here as well, so that your rainwater will fall off, and also it's accessible for a person on a wheelchair. That literally takes the moisture away from the door. What you also have is a DPC tray wrapped around it, and your radon barrier as normal. This is a good detail. The detail that they might ask you, I want to cover for our drawings, is there is a thermal bridge in this one, and that thermal bridge is right through there, where the heat can be lost through there and up through this section here. This is the inside of the house, and I know there's thermal block there and everything, but hasn't got the same conductivity as a normal insulation. So the detail that we're going to use for our drawings is the one in Marston Trevor Hickey book, the one that we use, and you'll see here that the heat cannot escape through this section here because of the insulation continuation. You'll see it better in this detail, I suppose. The insulation continues up, it's through here, but prevents this thermal block here, alright, but no heat can be lost through that. And the heat continues up through the whole door, the whole way up to the head, which we're asked to draw as well. To start this drawing off, this is a scale 1:5, this drawing, so every measurement that you know about any material, so your block is, they're all, total measurements are divided by 5, not by 10 for this one. So for example, we have our foundation. Our foundation is normally 1050, and that is 105 in a scale 1 to 10, but that becomes 210 when it's divided by 5. So 210 is the width of our foundation, and it has a height of 70 as well. Your steel reinforcement is a minimum of 50mm stepped up, and that becomes our 10mm in scale 1:5, so 10mm. I'm just going to do 5 to either side of one in the centre, and crosshairs. That's your steel reinforcement. You can put a 6mm layer sand liner down at the bottom if you wish, and obviously down my hatching. On top of this then we just have our normal layers of blocks, or 2 leaves of blocks, and they are step in of 350, and 350 divided by 5 is 70 again. So just to go through those measurements again, I have 210, and I have 70, then I step in 70, 70, and then I should be left with 70, so 3 times the width of the foundation. Okay, and that becomes what I do with those then is I extend those lines up. They're going to be my rising walls, so the inner leaf and outer leaf, I know the thickness of a block is 100, so that's going to equate to 20mm as the scale is 1:5 drawn. The same over here on this side, so 20 millimeters. Alright, I have 150mm cavity, that's going to equal 30. If my measurements are right. The height of a block is 43 millimeters, or it's 215. That divided by 5 is equal to 43. And instead of doing my usual 1 mil between my block hooking, we're just going to go roughly 2 mil. Top of that one, then I'm going to go for another course of block, so 2 rows of blocks, 43, 2 mil. Top of that one, then I'm going to go for stock brick. Stock brick then is 65 millimeters in height. So what I will do there is that 65 millimeters in height is going to become 30 millimeters. I'm going to scale down to 13 mil. That's a stock brick. Just going to go over the outline of my block again. Alright, so this is 43 millimeters in height, 43, and then 13 stock brick. And try and keep your drawing as neat as possible. My next step down here is my hard core, and it's always keeps the same angle at 60 degrees and a minimum of 150 millimeters compact. Alright, so that becomes 30 mil as the scale is 1:5. So I'm going to go for 2 to 3 layers. I'm just going to go for 2 layers of that, and I'm going to go up to I'm going to put the last another 100 millimeter layer, so just it's going to equal 20. So I have 3 layers of hardcore. I don't need to do all of it. This section here. So that's my hardcore. So I stepped up 30, 30, and then 20. Alright. My next thing then is my sand blinding, which is usually 40 mil or 30 mil, so I'm just going to go for 6 mil. That goes on top of that one. After that, what you want is, so that's my sand blinding. That's on top of the hardcore for the prime reason, or to prevent the radon barrier from being affected. Okay, so being defected or being cut by stone. I want my concrete infill here now, so for in this section here, so that's going to be going straight across from the top of that stock brick, and all of this in here becomes the weak or lean concrete infill. My next step then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my concrete sill. Okay, this at the beginning of my threshold. You can keep this outer line, remove this line here, and I want to step back a measurement of 28 millimeters, so 28, and I want to step up a measurement of the same 28. Okay, and on that then what I want to do is I want to make a concrete fill up on the top and just put a small bit of a slope on it. Okay, so concrete fill on top of that, so I'm going to step up 6 mil. Just down, just pick a random point there like that and put a gradual slope, nothing too extreme. Okay. And you can hatch that just very not as intense. So this is concrete here, obviously. So that's 28 by 28. So there's a concrete cast in situ. So it's cast on site, and then this is just like a very lean concrete mix. And you can put the odd triangle in there as well, just so that it doesn't look like sampling. And that just is cast on site, so that's for your slope for the wheelchair access. I'll come to the rainwater gully now in a second. What I want to do is just finish off the insulation properties. The insulation is 100 mil rigid insulation. That in at this one is about 20 mil. Okay, and scale 1 is to 5, and on top of that then is again just up to the back of this, what you have is another 100 mil insulation slab on top, like so. It doesn't continue the whole way back, but it stops 20 mil away from this wall. So from this wall here, I need to step across 20 mil on that line, and I need to make that kind of a shape. So I'll just heavy that in there before I attach it. I'll rub this line out, shouldn't brought it across. So I can rub this one out here too. Okay, so that there is rigid insulation, alright, and the hatching for that is in 60 degrees, and I usually do them in spaces of 10 mil, and the scale is 1 is to 5. I do it at this size. So I literally, what I do is I use that line and mark off 10 mil on my set square, and just roughly keep them the same size apart, going across in one direction, and then flip my set square and go the opposite direction the other way, like so. Alright, so we're just not finished there. As soon as you have the hatching done and that, what you want to do is continue up that piece of insulation about 6 mil away from the back of the concrete sill. Right, that goes back to that part of it there, right? And that also is, it's a rigid insulation, could be expanded polystyrene, it's very rigid stuff, so it's very important to have that there, that there's no thermal break, so no heat loss can be put through there when we go continue on. What I want you to do is extend that line straight across like that, alright? That distance from there to there should be 30 now. Yep, it's 30 for me. And that is a concrete slab. I'll just close off, put a line breaker on this here for myself. And I'll put in my steel reinforcement if you like. That's usually a couple of instances across. That's your concrete subfloor if you like, or your concrete floor. You can tile or do whatever you like on that then. On the outside here I'm going to put my storm gully. My storm gully is at least 30mm in depth. This one here I'm going to make it about 20mm in depth. From the top, 20mm. So from the top of the this part here, so from the top of this, I'm just going to make a rainwater gully, sorry, not a storm gully. 20mm. You can get big difference. There's a lot of different sizes out there. And about 20mm in width as well. And what this does is it collects the rainwater away from the door. Just going to put a small bit of a joint. Again, this detail doesn't have to be perfect. And if you look out the back door of the room, the woodwork room, you'll see one of these, the stone gully. Just at the back door. So grid going across the top of it, so you can put just a number of lines. And you can shade that in or colour it, whatever you want to do to make that stand out. It's a very important thing to have in it. Don't have that in it, they're going to ask why you don't have any method of taking away the rainwater. And that's it. Literally what we have now next is our radon barrier. And our radon barrier now goes across here on top of the sand blending. Okay. Up across here too, on top of this stock brick. Underneath the concrete cell in situ. Alright. My DPC then, I need a DPC tray, so my DPC tray goes on top of that radon barrier. And then goes up across the back of the concrete cell in situ. And then back across. What you can do here on the outside of that, so that's a very important detail, my radon barrier and my DPC tray. I will continue on out my concrete wall and put in, you could put in a concrete path, and that path, just you could say it was 100mm or it could be even more, and you just go for 150. So 150 equal to 300 or 30mm in this one. Then I could have my hardcore as such. So this could be a concrete path, or it could be tarmac, it could be anything at all. I'll just go with concrete. And then underneath that you're going to have some form of hardcore. You can't just put concrete onto soil or it'll drop. And I'm just going to do that, or 2 layers of that. There's no need for me to go and do the whole way down. So I just went for 2 layers. So as that door detail is, as far as the concrete sill or the concrete sill here on our door threshold or area here to take away the rainwater, radon barrier. There's no thermal bridge here of yet, so any heat we haven't drawn in our door detail yet. That's what I'm going to do now in the next one. So the next step that we want to do is we want to draw on the door detail, right? So the actual physical timber door, right, that we see here on this one. This detail here, and it's a continuation. It's very important that there's a continuation of insulation the whole way through, and there's a special thermal kind of a sill or thermally insulated sill here at the bottom. It's kind of a seal as well. It has a little rubber seals, as you see here, air tightness seals as well, to prevent any air or heat loss through that section. Usually what you see with these here as well, in these little spaces, is little areas for argon gas, or not even argon, but it's just the framework of the actual plastic. Okay, and to start that one off, okay, so it's important now that we pay attention for this one. I suppose this can be the more difficult part of this question, and I'll just take my time and go through it with you. For this one, okay, what you want to be looking at is, to start this off, I want to get halfway in my little block of insulation here, which is 6mm and 3mm, right? And lightly, I'm just going to draw a line up halfway. Okay, now either side of that line, my door frame is going to be usually 70mm long in normal scale, so 70mm wide, apologies, and divide that by 5mm and I will get 140. Okay, so either side of that line, or 14mm, sorry, 14mm either side, so 7mm either side. Okay, and I'm just going to draw those lines up very lightly. Now you can get rid of that middle line if you like. That middle line can go, it's of no use to us now for the minute. Okay, on top of that, I'm going to extend back this line here I have for my 6mm concrete fill. I'm going to draw that line back, okay, a total distance of about 100mm, so 10mm back. Which is going to get me to about, so what I'll actually cut it inside my my concrete, or my concrete fill there, like so, and I'll use a small portion of that as the framework. And what I'll also do, I'll go over the opposite side here, so you see this little 2mm bracket that I have, or 2mm space, I'll copy that exactly over the other side. And I'll obtain something like that. I'm just going to continue on with another small bit of it here as well. Okay, and what I'll do with that is that will become rigid insulation in between. Now, just to help you understand that, or to figure that one out again, I'll go over it in a black pen, just to make it stand out. A bit more. This outside part we can just rub out. Okay, and what I will do is I'll put a small colour of yellow in it, just to show the insulation continuation. So there I have it, there's my yellow. Alright. The next step now, okay, is to draw the actual door frame, so the door frame fits around that then. Alright, and my door frame on top of that, what I'm going to do just before I go on any further is I'm going to put these small little squares on each end, out of each end. So out of this end here, I'm going to put a small square out, then up on top, and going to put a small square up there. And what that is going to show is the rubber seal. Alright. And the rubber seal then, it makes way for this piece of timber that we have. So it's a 6.5 in height. That is going to be our door frame. I'm just going to put that in light now for the time being. Alright. And I'm going to have it come down the front of this rubber seal like that. Or across the top of that rubber seal. Back down and right the front of this one. Okay, I'm going to have a space of 4 mil, or just in the same line, so keep this line up, continue this line up, like so. And that there is going to be at 30 degrees as well, so my hatching for that one is at 30 degrees. So again, you can see the continuation of insulation is very important for this. Just do the same for this one. It's rigid insulation as well. So I'll put that in yellow. Okay, and I'll colour the door frame in a brown. So I'll just get my pen again and put a couple of lines, end grain lines in it if you like. That will just show the door frame, the base of the door frame. Okay, on top of that, we continue our drawing up, or so our door frame itself. Either side of that door frame, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step a 1 mil, and that's just an outside panel, it could be whatever, and I step the same on the inside. So 1 mil on both the outside and inside, they run up. Sort of level. So I'm just going to bring them up that far, the same with this one. Okay. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to step in another 2 mil from each side. That's just going to be timber, kind of a frame as well, the continuation of the timber frame around it. Okay. I'm going to put a line breaker in this section of it. And everything in here now in the middle becomes my rigid insulation. About 5 mil or so the instances in between. So as you can see, there is no thermal break through the door connection at the bottom. Over that, just a pen, just to tidy it up a bit more, door frame itself. And I can shade in the door frame and brown. Okay, So if I was to zoom out of this now and just to colour in my insulation detail or my insulation, right? The most important thing about this question is to show that you understand where the continuation of the insulation is, right? So I know it comes down through my door, through this section here, right? There's this proper little thermal insulated sill here, okay? And the insulation goes the whole way back down. I'm just lightly shading this in, so it's underneath my concrete subfloor, and it goes up through at the back of the sill here, or at the concrete sill, yeah, exactly, in situ, and then back up here, and I have a thermally broken sill at the bottom of this. Back up it goes through the door. Alright, that's a very important aspect of it there. So that's one part of that drawing. The base of that door. What I need to do now is I need to show you how to do the head. Okay, so on this one, I'm just going to draw the window or the door head up above. Now put a line breaker in, so I'm not drawing the full height of the door. I'm just going to continue up my walls, which are 20mm, like this. So this is where the walls would be if they're 20mm wide. So they're 100mm actually, but what they are is they're 20mm when you divided by 5. So there's my walls brought up. And what I'm just going to put in now in possession is two concrete lintels. And they carry the blockwork across the door. The door might be 800mm or even 800mm in width. Sometimes, like they are in the school, here you have a door which is nearly a metre wide. Concrete lintel then goes across like this, so that's what it starts off. Anyway, the concrete lintel is a measurement of 6.5, so that equals to, in a scale is 1:5, 13mm. So 2 concrete lintels, one there, one over here. They carry the blockwork across. It's essential for any door frame or door head. Right. Up on top of that then, what I'm going to have is my, I'm going to continue on my blockwork up at top, alright. I'm going to height of 43mm. 2mm again for mortar. Alright, and I'm going to just stop the block or just line break up a certain distance. And don't forget your mortar on top of that lintel, it's not a continuation. So I just forgot to put that in, so I'll just put up mortar in it. So on my lintel then, I need to have just a steel, something to show the steel reinforcement. Okay. I need to have on top of that then, I need to have a fire cavity closer, so I'm going to do that at about 50mm. Cavity closer. That has insulated properties as well inside it, if you wanted to do a special kind of a frame around it, you're welcome to. Has insulated properties. My insulation on the inside is 100mm, and that is equal to 20mm, so I'll do that as well. Okay, a very important detail we have is our step DPC. Very important detail. So that step DPC comes across the top of this block here. Usually cut across with the insulation and drop down at any angle at all. Out here along the inside of that lintel and just protrude it out, DPC. And what you can also do here is you can just fill that area then with insulation too in that section. So I'll just put a small bit of insulation inside, so I'm just going to go for quilted inside the cavity closer. It probably is rigid. Again, the rigid insulation is the same detail again, so it's equally spaced, 10mm lines apart, or less or more, or whatever you want, as long as they're equally spaced. Going into my door detail now, door frame. Again, I'll bring these lines up that I have from down below, just as a guideline as to where my door needs to end or finish. Okay, so what I know is I can draw in that one. That one is kind of built at this level here, so I'm going to step down about 6mm from this one. Possibly a bit more. At 6mm I'm going to draw a line across, just about 1mm or so, and I'm going to go back up about 2 or 3mm. I'm going to bring that across. Or should have brought that in a bit more, so I'll bring it into about 2 or 3 or 4mm up. Then I'm going to bring that across. And I'm going to stop it around this part of it. Now this doesn't have to be 100%. And the other one then. Okay, so that is the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my insulation in between these. I'm going to make that I have below on the thermal seal down underneath it. I'm going to bring that up. Okay, I'm just going to put that in rigid. Don't need to be, you need to have that there. Rigid insulation. No break. And thermal capacity. And then my next one then is just going to be the opposite, going in the opposite direction across and step back out here, down. Continue my insulation down into that. Fix. Just copy my 3 lines. You see my lines here? Just copying those. marker. Finish it off, you can go in with a pen. Just before I do that, and I'm just going to finish off my insulation. Oh, it should be at 60 degrees. The same up for this one in the middle layers. Okay, so the thing we notice about this is our insulation continues the whole way from the head detail all the way down into this fire cavity closer, across here into this edge insulation, down in through the door frame, down through the door again, and I can put a couple of seals, so just a mastic seal on the insides of these doors here like this. What I also can put in there as well is the same as down underneath it and below it is very important sheet of air tightness membrane, whether it's air tightness tape or air tightness membrane that goes across and back up like this, and it also happens down below where your door frame meets your concrete subfloor. So just make sure to put that in. You see it on the drawing. Shade these in, put a small bit of a marker in this just to show that it's wood, could be PVC either. I also have there is my, you can have your 20mm external render, so that could be, it's equal to 4mm or 3.5mm external render. And the same for, it's less than, so it's probably 2mm internal render. To finish off. And that's your door head detail, scale 1:5.